Good morning. Chag Sameach. Over the next few minutes, I'd like to speak to you about the next 50 years. Last year at this time, I spoke about the changes that we had undergone at our Shaarey Zedek in response to a study done 6 years ago. Results of the study predicted that we could follow in the footsteps of many of the synagogues in Winnipeg: diminished congregations, falling revenues, and ultimately absorption or closure. Since that time, we focused on 3 key goals: relevance, engagement, and flexibility. I'm pleased to report that these efforts are now starting to pay off. Our rabbi team, Rabbi Leibel and Rabbi Mas, are actively engaged in outreach as well as providing learning opportunities through educational programs in our shul. Their impact and the impact of the changes to the service continue to grow. I'm just going to digress here for a minute because there's so many of you here, and we're so proud of our Shabbat service where we get 120 to 140 people. I know many of us haven't attended a Shabbat service on a regular Shabbat in the last couple of years. I welcome you and I challenge you, if you want to have a vision of what Shaarey Zedek is going to be and can be in the future, give us 2 hours on a Saturday morning. Come at 10 o'clock and you will see a service like you haven't seen in this shul before. You will see congregational engagement like you haven't seen in this shul before. And at the end of the day, you'll have a pretty good schmear of chopped egg and tuna to put on your bagels. So I welcome you, I challenge you, come on one Shabbat and you'll have a first-hand impression of what we're talking about today. But I'll get back to my script now. Our Shabbat attendance is more than twice what it was 2 years ago. Only a few years ago, we were performing less than a half a dozen weddings. Today, we are doing about 15 per year, with the likelihood of these numbers increasing as we go forward. Our B'nai Mitzvah events have gone from less than a dozen to 30. Focusing on engagement and relevance, our rabbis have increased the size of the clergy team. Along with our lay clergy, Bill Wiseman, Leslie Emery has become a full-time member of that department. Under her leadership, we will now have a weekly family service beginning this fall. As you heard earlier, Bonnie Robinson has joined the department as a Torah reader during the week and on Shabbat, and as a leader for the Daily Minyan, complementing the work done by Bill Wiseman. We are very, very proud of the fact that we can boast a twice daily minyan every day of the year. Our Winnipeg community relies on us for this. Being able to count on there being 2 services every day, particularly during times of Shiva, Shloshim, and yard sites. Our programming, under the leadership of Dr. Rina Elbaz, is attracting increasing numbers of a younger demographic from throughout the community. A few weeks ago, our Slichot service, coupled with our Art at the Zedek program, featuring Winnipeg Jewish artists, drew 130 attendees. Our catering department, under the skillful leadership of Joel LaFond, has been increasingly called upon by our community for private and public functions. Did you know that Chef Joel and his staff provided food and service for 800 at the J&F Gala reception at the concert hall this past year? Ian Staniloff, our executive director, has focused his efforts on increasing the use of the Shaarey Zedek for life cycle events and simchas, as well as opportunities to increase our membership. I am pleased to announce that his efforts have paid off. This is the first time in recent years that our membership numbers have seen an increase. It's a good news story, right? Our Shaarey Zedek, one of the largest, oldest, and I would say most progressive conservative synagogues in Western Canada, is evolving from a member services synagogue to a synagogue serving our entire community. Although the bulk of the revenue today comes from the dues which you pay and the high holy day seats that you have purchased. As our Shabbat attendance has doubled, so has the size and the cost of the Kiddush. Although our B'nai Mitzvah have almost tripled, very few families are having their celebratory dinners and parties here. The same holds true for the weddings. The feedback we have received from these families has been that although they love our rabbis and they are impressed with our catering, our facilities leave them cold. So these events are being held at other more attractive venues across the city. Although Joel gets many requests for family dinners before and during Yom Tovim, we don't have the flexible multiple-use space to accommodate most of them. We are missing out on significant revenue opportunities from these events and others. It's been almost 50 years since there was a major campaign to modernize our building. About 9 months ago, we decided to try and remedy this, increase our revenue, and importantly, solidify our role in the community. When we met with congregational stakeholders to discuss upgrading the auditorium cosmetically, we were encouraged to think big, to take advantage of our changes that were creating a buzz in the community. Through the generous support and encouragement of Barry and Carol McCartan and the Asper Foundation, a study was undertaken to truly assess the ability of the synagogue to achieve its goals. That process included consultations with staff, community, and our rabbinical team. Based on that study, conceptual designs were prepared that would allow Shaarey Zedek to meet its goals, and a preliminary budget was prepared. Our redevelopment will focus on multi-purpose and flexibility to meet our needs in the future, as well as dealing with some very, very significant deferred maintenance issues. The renderings that you saw when you came into the building this morning are the results of that process. They will be in the lobby throughout the holiday. Over the next few months, we will be working with our architects to fine-tune the costs and the renderings. We are hopeful that by spring, we will be able to share these costs and refined designs with our congregation and the community. I want to leave you with two further thoughts. 70 years ago, the leadership of our synagogue on Dagmar Street had vision. They thought out of the box. Many of you here today are the children or grandchildren or great-grandchildren of those leaders. All of us here reap the benefits of their vision. They built a synagogue that today is an icon representing the Jewish community in Winnipeg to all of Winnipeg. Now, it's our turn to share that vision and build on what they created, to take our children, our grandchildren, and our great-grandchildren into the next 50 years. Seated here today are 4, possibly 5 generations of our community. Some of you may be thinking, why me? It's someone else's turn. Or, it will be too costly and there's no certainty it will succeed. Collectively, we will bear the responsibility for whatever our decision is. If we decide to move forward with a physical renewal, chances are that the youngest in the building today will be here 50 years in the future and possibly contemplating another renewal to make the Shaarey Zedek more relevant to the needs of the community in their future. If we don't, we may likely follow in the footsteps of the congregations that have gone before us. It's our choice to make. On your seats, you'll find this card. Help us to continue to grow and be the synagogue for Winnipeg. You have been generous in the past. Until we can access the opportunities for a greater revenue stream, can we count on your support and increased generosity? Please consider being a part of the vision. On behalf of our board of directors, it's my honor to wish you and your families a sweet year. Shana Tova, Gamar Hatima Tova. Thank you.